Diabetic bladder issues and diagnostic testing for them. That's what we're talking about today. Diabetes can affect your body in a variety of ways, with bladder problems being one of the possible and actually fairly common complication. High blood sugar levels caused by diabetes are known to have a negative effect on the bladder and its functioning. In this video, we will discuss what bladder problems both men and women with diabetes may encounter. Well, through understanding these issues, we can then take steps towards reducing the risk of developing them, right? So, join us today as we explore different types of bladder issues for those living with diabetes. Welcome to Sugar MD channel. I am Dr. Ahmet Ergin. I am an experienced endocrinologist and a diabetes specialist. Now, diabetes often leads to nerve damage, and that can cause bladder issues. And if that weren't tricky enough, excessive weight can increase the likelihood of having urinary incontinence. Well, worry not. Us, the medical professionals, are here to look out for you. We will be able to assist in managing your blood sugar levels and help with any potential weight loss journey and diabetes complications. Also, there are some blood tests and urine tests to understand what exactly your bladder is doing, why it's giving you the trouble. And sometimes the urologist, for example, will perform a urodynamic testing. It's a fun test. Let's talk about problems that can happen to a diabetic. Well, number one, you may have frequent and urgent urination. Urinary frequency and urgency can be quite a tricky problem for people with diabetes. So when veins have, or the arteries have too much glucose, they end up moving the contact of glucose molecules to the surrounding tissues, such as bladder, or your kidney will dump the glucose into your bladder. And that will cause you to urinate more often, especially if your blood sugars are running high. Now, sadly, this problem can persist even when blood sugar levels are managed well within target range in some cases because of prolonged damage to the nerves and the muscles. Furthermore, urinary frequency may cause an urge to urinate suddenly regardless of the time of the day or night. And this condition is known as urgency incontinence. Fortunately, there are treatments aimed at reducing the symptoms associated with bladder control problems. Now, external physical interventions or medicines may actually help those with diabetes who experience frequent and urgent, the urges to urinate, to gain some degree of bladder control, right? Number two, people also have trouble going, right? People with diabetes often find themselves unable to go, which is the opposite problem of urgency. They constantly feel that their bladder is not full. Unfortunately, over time, that congestion in your bladder can lead to a certain level of damage to the muscles responsible for pushing out urine. Because if it stays full all the time, it's going to be, think like a bag, it's going to be saggy. It's going to lose its contractility. And emptying it is going to be a difficult task. Now, we call this urinary retention, and this disruption can cause a host of terrible issues such as inability to rid oneself of urine, bladder infections, and urine leakage, because sometimes if you don't know it is there, it's just going to leak out. All of these can prove very dangerous, especially if you catch an infection, and it can be embarrassing too, right? It is important that people with diabetes pay attention to their body when it calls upon them in order to avoid serious complications. So, don't hold your urine, especially when you have diabetes. Now, number three, as we discussed a little bit about, is leaky urine, right? So people with diabetes are more susceptible to developing certain types of urinary incontinence. Now, for example, one of them is stress incontinence. This is due to the nerve damage, the obesity, the bladder infections, which can all be linked to diabetes and have an effect on your ability to control your bladder. So as a result of regular leaking, some individuals might find themselves avoiding or being unable to participate in activities they once enjoyed, and that can even lead to depression. It could extend so far as sex being off limits because it's embarrassing if not managed properly. Well, thankfully, interventions like weight loss have been noted as a helpful way to preventing the urinary incontinence from occurring in the first place. And a study shows that higher body mass indexes indicate the greater risk associated with urinary incontinence, meaning the heavier you are, the more likely you'll experience it. Number 4, bladder infections. Now, diabetes and bladder infections can be a troublesome combination, as people with diabetes are more prone to urinary tract infections. Not only do bladder infections cause frequent and painful urination, but they can also progress into kidney infections. Furthermore, bladder infections can interfere with your daily life in many ways, such as reducing your intimacy between the couples if you're married. Fortunately, proper management of your glucose levels may help reduce the risk of getting bladder infection. The higher the blood sugars, the higher the chance of getting the infection. Although it is important to see a doctor at the first sign of a bladder infection, you can also take steps to prevent it from occurring in the first place by regulating your blood sugar levels through your diet and lifestyle modifications. And if you haven't used so far, our supplements, especially Sugar MD Advanced Glucose Support and Super Berberine, will be very helpful. The neuropathy support also helps prevent any type of diabetic complication. However, starting early and using them for a long time is the key, especially for preventative vitamins. Sugar MD Advanced Glucose Support will bring your blood sugar down very rapidly, so you have to keep an eye on your blood sugars. So don't be surprised. A lot of people get surprised because they are skeptical, and then they try it. They like, wow, what happened? I can't believe that. But yeah, you can go through the comments. A lot of people talk about it. Thousands of reviews. If you haven't tried it, I would suggest giving it a try. We offer even free small bottles to prove the point for you. So you can go sugarmds.com and check it out. So let's talk about what tests are we talking about here, right? So once your regular doctor or urologist has evaluated your symptoms, they may decide to get on a series of tests to properly diagnose the cause of urinary incontinence. Now, for example, post-void residuals are a simple test where ultrasound is taken of your bladder after you have emptied it in order to determine if any urine has been left behind. The amount is then compared to what is considered normal to see if you have urinary retention, which is, normally you retain maybe 60 to 100 cc, although the less is better. But if you have more than that after you urinate, you have a problem. Now, urine analysis will also be checked for you for glucose and presence of bacteria, the blood, or white cells that may indicate a possible urinary tract infection that is causing your symptoms. And the last test usually involved will be a urodynamic test, which will measure how well the bladder can store and release the urine. So these tests ultimately help find out what type of urinary incontinence you have before proceeding with treatment plans that best fit your needs. So let your doctor diagnose it first before jumping to conclusions and medications. And we are at the end finally. A big thank you to anyone who stopped by to watch. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and thank us. Please don't forget to watch one of our many videos. Whenever you conduct a search on Google or YouTube, simply add the magical Sugar MD word to the end of the search term and you will find something useful. Thank you for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy. I will see you in the next video. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this channel so far, and I hope you subscribed already. If you didn't, do it. And if you did, watch this video right there. I think that will help you too.